When you introduce your coworkers or friends, technically the new or introduced person is the third person, you act as a middle person. Here's a business file with several example possibilities. Do you know Miss Spires? Have you met Miss Spires? I'd like you to meet Miss Spires. I'd like to introduce Miss Spires. May I introduce Miss Spires? You'll notice, once again, in these examples, we have ordered them from informal to more formal. May I introduce Miss Spires is the most formal of the group. All right, let's practice some of these introductions of others now. This requires you to speak aloud. Look at these introductions of third persons, or others than yourself, to people you already know. Imagine that you must put people together for business purposes. Miss Kritsky, I'd like you to meet Mr. Steinhager. Mr. Steinhager just arrived from Würzburg. Hello, Mr. Steinhager. Did you have a good trip? All right. I'm the first person. I know Miss Kritsky, so she's the second person. And Mr. Steinhager, the newcomer, is the third person. Notice that this example is rather formal. All right, let's practice an example on screen. I'll make the introduction and you make the response. You must choose one of the three on-screen responses, and of course, you must say it aloud. Hello, Mr. Steinhager. Did you have a good trip? Welcome, Mr. Steinhager. Is this your first visit? Good morning, Mr. Steinhager. I hope your journey was pleasant. I'm really not trying to trick you, but actually all of those responses are quite correct for new visitors, and they are typical and they are safe. So it's important that you practice each of them. Listen to the next introduction, choose an appropriate response, and remember to say it aloud. Mr. Maigret, have you met Miss Morimoto? She's the PIP rep from Tokyo. A. Yes, I think we met in Nagoya at the Tama Fair. Good to see you again. B. Yes, we met last year in Dallas, didn't we? Nice to see you again. C. I'm not sure. Hi, how are you? Were you at the Tama Fair last year? D. I don't believe so, but I'm very pleased to meet you. Did you notice that all of these responses are formal? And did you notice that all of them are equal, meaning appropriate for equals, people at the same level in business? And they are all perfectly good. So another trick, they're all good responses. Now, one more introduction for your choice of response. Hello, Muhammad. I'd like to introduce Arnie Ferris, our production manager from South Bend. A. Hi, Arnie. It's a great pleasure. B. Arnie, my pleasure. I've heard a lot about you. C. Happy to meet you, Arnie. We're in similar departments. Let's analyze these responses. They're all polite, they're all equal, and they're all friendly. So they're all good. I've tricked you again. Let's take up the subject of contact notes. A serious business person always makes notes, either mental notes or pen and paper notes about the contacts he or she makes, and it's important. It is just plain good business. This is especially true when one expects to contact those people again. We never know when a contact will become a resource person for a further business or social dealing. Look at this example of a contact form. The information for business contacts we make is basic, important, and valuable. You should complete a form similar to this each time you meet somebody whom you expect or want to see again. Put it in a contact file or in a database on your PC, but do it. Here's a hint. Some people actually write that information on the back of a business card whenever they receive it. It's handy and it's easy. Now we're going to focus on greetings. Sometimes American business greetings and the responses to them are not very exciting. In fact, greetings are almost formulas. I mean, there are acceptable or expected ways to use greetings and to respond to them. Often when someone says, "Hi, how are you doing?" the greeting sounds expected or mechanical. We might think that it doesn't convey an honest interest in knowing the person's state of health or being. Responses also can be mechanical. "Fine, and you?" But in American business affairs, greetings can be very important, and it is best, therefore, to make your greetings interesting and engaging. After all, enthusiasm is a key to successful business. This is especially true if the person you are greeting hears a foreign accent or the speech of an uncertain or less fluent English speaker. Enthusiasm, in these cases, counts for a lot. It means interest in making the acquaintance, and then the listener doesn't worry about an accent. Of course, there are many variations to these greetings and replies, and for day-to-day business, you should be familiar with them. Listen to these greetings. Note their level of formality. "Hello, Dr. Jex, how are you?" "Good evening, Mr. Carbajal. How are you tonight?" "Good afternoon, ma'am. You're looking very well today." "Good morning, sir." Notice all four of those greetings are formal. They use titles, they use correct and polite language. Listen to these. "Hello, John, how are you doing?" "Hello, it's a nice evening, isn't it?" "Hi, Paul, what are you up to these days?" "Morning, Liz, how are you doing?" Morning is the same as good morning, an abbreviated form. Now those four greetings are semi-formal. They're polite, but the language is a little less formal. Listen to these. "Hey, Marcia, what have you been doing lately?" "Hey, Joe, what's happening?" "Hi, Clementina, what's up?" Now those three greetings are certainly informal. They're friendly, but they're also polite. Now look carefully at the descriptions of these three people. I'll demonstrate greetings for each of them. "Good morning, Dr. Olin. How are you today?" Formal. Doctor, title. "Hello, Miss Marilyn. How are you today?" Again, formal, with a title. "Hello, Robert. How are you doing?" Informal. Or, "Hi, Bob. What's going on?" Even less formal. American nicknames, one syllable, Bob for Robert. Good. Let's practice these same greetings. You'll see the descriptions on the screen. Make an appropriate greeting, speak aloud. I'll respond to each of your greetings, and then you can reply. Remember, this is practice. Speak aloud. Number 1. Dr. Race Olin, Director, Human Resources, Colinto Corp. Your greeting could be, "Good morning, Dr. Olin. How are you today?" The response, "Very well, thank you. And you?" Reply. Your reply could be, "I'm doing well, thanks." Number 2. Miss Ruth Maryland, Manager, MIS, Nabisco. Your greeting could be, "Hello, Miss Maryland. How are you today?" The response, "Very well, thank you. How are you?" Your reply, the reply could be, "I'm fine, thanks." Number 3. Mr. Robert Cilantro, co-worker. Your greeting could be, "Hello, Robert. How are you doing?" Or informal, your greeting could be, "Hi, Bob. What's going on?" The response, "Hi, William. I'm fine. How's it with you?" Or another response, "Hey, Bill. Great. How are you doing?" The reply, your reply could be, "Just fine, thanks." Or it could be, "Like $1,000,000. Good. Greetings allow us to continue our relationships with others. They make it easy for us to update our histories. Greetings also convey mood and attitude. These are important traits of character. Pay attention to these two greetings and especially to their responses. Number 1. "Hello, Howard. How have you been doing lately?" "Oh, hi, Mr. Williams. Actually, not so well. A few too many problems." "Sad to hear that, Howard. Hope things improve." Number 2. "Hello, Howard. How have you been doing lately?" "Hello, Mr. Williams. Just fine. And how have you been?" Now think a minute. In number 1, Howard is unenthusiastic, even self-defeating in his response. Note also that Mr. Williams doesn't want to hear much about Howard's situation. That's not the purpose of greetings. And imagine if Mr. Williams is Howard's supervisor. The impression is even more strongly negative. That is a characteristic that is best kept out of greetings. But notice that in number 2, Howard is very upbeat. He lets Mr. Williams know that he is happy to be greeted, and he gives an impression of interest and positive association. Enthusiasm, that's what we want. This practice will give you an opportunity to use your greetings. You will greet each person who follows on screen and ask a question using the information provided in each situation. Let's start with number 1. You should read the cue, think about the information, make an appropriate greeting. Remember, you should do this exercise aloud. Number 1, Mr. Stiles, your 70-year-old elevator operator who just returned from visiting Bogota. "Hello, Mr. Stiles. How was your trip to Bogota?" Number 2, Renee, your secretary, whom you haven't seen since her vacation. "Hey, Renee, how are you? How was your vacation?" Number 3, Guillermo Reyes, your co-worker who just came back from a business trip. "How are you doing, Guillermo? Have a productive trip?" Number 4, Bill Lang, your boss. It's a Monday morning. "Good morning, Mr. Lang. Hope you enjoyed your weekend." Number 5, Linda Truax, your assistant. She came back late from lunch. "Hi, Linda. I was beginning to worry a little about you." Number 6, Mr. Tard, an elderly supervisor who just returned from a stay in the hospital after he broke his hip. "Good afternoon, Mr. Tard. It's very good to see you. I hope you're feeling better." Number 7, Miss Slaker, a cafeteria employee who just bought a new house. "Hi, Miss Slaker. Getting used to the new house?" This business file contains response examples that you should study and practice after this lesson. They are general purpose responses. They should be useful in most situations. And they are listed from formal to least formal. "I'm doing very well, thank you. And you?" "Well, thank you. And you, sir?" "I'm fine, thank you." "Fine. How are you?" "Great, thanks. What about you?" Couldn't be better. Yourself? Not bad. You? Okay, I guess. You doing all right? Can't complain. How about you? Lousy. Fantastic. Now look at this little business file. It contains a list of response words. They are grouped according to their range of meaning, from positive to neutral to negative. Great. Fantastic. Like $1 million. Out of this world. Fine. Okay. Not bad. All right. Pretty bad. Awful. Couldn't be worse. Rotten. In each of the following situations, a greeting is being made and a "how are you doing" type question is asked. I'll make the greeting. Your job is to give an answer that is positive, neutral, or negative, and add a short explanation. Use your imagination and practice aloud. Let's begin. Number 1. John. Hey, Linda. Good to see you. How's it going? Linda. Negative. Terrible. I just found out that I faxed the wrong memo to RemCorp. Number 2. William. Hi, Helen. How are you doing? Helen. Positive. Hello, William. I'm doing just fine, thanks. Number 3. Paul. Hello, Mrs. Herta. How are you today? Mrs. Herta. Positive. Hi, Paul. Very well, thanks. Number 4. Dr. Francis. It's good to see you, Margarita. Are you doing all right? Margarita. Neutral. So, Dr. Francis. I've got the flu. How are you? Number 5. Raina. Hi, Farhad. It's been a long time. How are things with you? Farhad. Negative. Oh, Raina. Hi. Things aren't great. The company's downsizing. One step beyond simple business greetings is the process of developing a business association, the way we might develop a social relationship. The following dialogue illustrates a typical interchange between people as they greet each other and begin to develop their association. This is a polite, rather formal greeting between two adults who know each other only casually. Good morning, William. Hello, Franco. It's good to see you. How are you? Just fine, thanks. And you? I'm doing very well, thank you. That's good. Will I see you at the game tonight? I'll try to make it. See you there. Now, this is really an extended greeting. It provides the basis for building upon this association in additional interchanges. Interchanges can be extended further. See you later is one way of expressing this. Hope to see you later is another. Might see you at the sales meeting or will I see you at the game are more specific examples. Let's develop this practice now. It's tough, but it's fun. Watch for my greetings on the screen. I'll greet you. Your prompt on screen is the word you. You should say your response aloud, of course. I'll pause to give you time. Then I'll reply, and you make your next response at the prompt. I'll be Mr. Jurgen, and you be Mr. Chung. This will be a lot of fun. Here we go. Number 1. Good afternoon, Mr. Chung. Just fine, thank you. And you? Yes, indeed, thank you. Goodbye then for now. All right. Let's review number 1 quickly. Good afternoon, Mr. Chung. Your response? Hello, Mr. Juergen, how are you? Just fine, thank you, and you? Your response? Very well, sir. Hope you are well. Yes, indeed, thank you. Goodbye then for now. And your response? Goodbye, Mr. Juergen. Number 2. Hi, how are you, Mr. Chung? Great. I'm going on vacation next week. Thanks a lot. You take it easy now. Okay, let's review number 2. Hi, how are you, Mr. Chung? Your response? I'm fine, thanks. How about you, Mr. Juergen? Great. I'm going on vacation next week. Your response? Lucky man. Hope you have a good time. Thanks a lot. You take it easy now. And your response? All right. See you soon. Number 3. Hello, Mr. Chung. It's nice to see you. Very well, thanks. It's a busy time of year. All right, let's review number 3 now. Hello, Mr. Chung. It's nice to see you. Your response? Oh, hello, Mr. Juergen. How are you? Very well, thanks. It's a busy time of year. And your response? It certainly is. See you soon. Number 4. Wow, Mr. Chung. Long time no see. Where have you been? Good, thanks. I've been meaning to call you. I think I have some business we can do. Are you still at the same number? All right. I'll give you a call next week. See you then. Good. Now let's review number 4. Wow, Mr. Chung, long time no see. Where have you been? And your response? Oh, hi, Mr. Juergen. I've been in Sao Paulo the last 2 weeks. How are you? What's happening? Good, thanks. I've been meaning to call you. I think I have some business we can do. Are you still at the same number? And your response? Yes, I am. By all means, give me a call. I'd be interested in doing some new ventures together. Let me hear from you, okay? All right. I'll give you a call next week. See you then. And your response? Okay. Bye, Mr. Juergen. Talk to you. Now we will analyze and practice association strategies, just as we did with business greeting strategies. Here is a situation. Let's take a look at it. I am the CEO, Chief Executive Officer, of a large publishing firm. You are an employee of the firm. Your name is Marta. Marta. Good morning, sir. How are you today? Very well, thank you, Marta. It's a beautiful day, isn't it? Marta. Yes, it certainly is. Now, what do you think? Would you expect me to use your first name if you address me as sir? Well, maybe only if I was your boss or your superior. And close enough so I would use your first name, same office perhaps. Notice your response is quite formal. It certainly is. What if it were raining? How might the boss have replied to your question? Well, maybe something like, fine, thank you, Marta. Nasty day, isn't it? And then you'd have an opportunity to refer to the nasty day next time we met. If Marta had been speaking to a colleague or an equal, she might not have said, yes, it certainly is. What might she have said? Well, something less formal. I'll say, or, yeah, it's a great day. Those points demonstrate some clear techniques for developing associations out of greetings. Circumstances are often key items in developing the greeting dialogue, and they shape the association. Sometimes they provide special opportunities which both you and your contact can explore in follow-up meetings. Here is another North American cultural expectation regarding greetings. This will affect your communication strategies. After greetings have been exchanged and the conversation is ending, sometimes one person suggests getting together with the other person in the future. It's important to understand that these suggestions for getting together sometime in the future often do not really occur. In many cases, it is a polite close to the conversation. But in some cases, there is the feeling that more business can be done or the association ought to be strengthened, and then there's a specific reason to get together. Look and listen to these examples. A. All right then, Carlos, it's been nice talking with you. We'll have to get together sometime and talk again. I'll give you a call. See you later. B. Carlos, it was great talking with you. Your idea about a joint venture is a good one, and I want to follow up on it. I'll call you in the next couple of weeks and we'll talk more about it. See you soon. Can you tell which invitation is a real one? Choose A or B. Well, I hope you chose B. There is a specific need and a wish for the two people to get together. And the request was specific. An idea, joint venture. And then, of course, there is the time frame. I'll call you in the next couple of weeks and we'll talk more about it. Now, if you feel comfortable with these concepts, let's go on to the first practice. I think you'll find it kind of interesting. This practice will give you the opportunity to role play in longer dialogues. This expands the process of developing associations. In this practice, we will be partners. Each of us will have a role. You will see the script for my role on the screen, and that's marked me. Your role is marked you. Try to make appropriate responses in order to complete the dialogues. You must pay special attention to the information given so you can make proper responses. Now let's do the practice. Number 1. Hey Brian, how's it going? I could be better. I think I'm coming down with a cold, and that's the last thing I need, right before the meeting on Wednesday. Good. Let's review number 1. Me. Hey Brian, how's it going? And your possible response? Fine, thanks. How are you? Me. I could be better. I think I'm coming down with a cold, and that's the last thing I need, right before the meeting on Wednesday. And your response? Oh, that's too bad. Make sure you take good care of yourself. Now, of course, your responses can vary. Let's go to number 2. Hello, Mina. How are you? Still playing tennis? Fine. Want to play sometime? Great. I'll give you a call next week. Let's review number 2. That's tough. Me. Hello, Mina. How are you? Still playing tennis? And your response? Not bad, or all right. How about you? I'm playing a little. Me. Fine. Want to play sometime? Your response? Okay, that would be good. Call me sometime. And me? Great. I'll give you a call next week. Number 3. Good afternoon, Mr. Gilka. How are you today? I'm glad to hear that. I'm up to my ears in paperwork, but I'll survive, I guess. I don't seem to have time, but it's a good idea. Okay, let's review 3. Me. Good afternoon, Mr. Gilka. How are you today? And your response? I'm fine, thanks. What about you? Me. I'm glad to hear that. I'm up to my ears in paperwork, but I'll survive, I guess. You? You should slow down a little. Take it easy. Me? Ha! I don't seem to have time, but it's a good idea. All right. Number 4. Hello, AJ. What have you been up to? I haven't seen you in ages. Really? Sounds interesting. Let's get together sometime. Great idea. I'll give you a call. Okay, let's review number 4. Me. Hello, AJ. What have you been up to? I haven't seen you in ages. Your response? Actually, I've been on business in Tokyo. Me. Really? Sounds interesting. Let's get together sometime. You. Okay, let's have lunch together. And me. Great idea. I'll give you a call. Number 5. Good day, Miss Wu. I was very sorry to hear about your father's illness. How's he doing now? Thanks. It seems to be fine. Okay, let's review that. Me. Good day, Miss Wu. I was very sorry to hear about your father's illness. How's he doing now? Your response? He's fine, thank you. I appreciate your concern. How's your new job working out? Me. Thanks. It seems to be fine. Number 6. Good morning, Miss Stiefel. You haven't had any calls. Do you need me to do anything before your 9 o'clock meeting? Better today, thanks. I think he just had a very bad cold. Let's review number 6. Me. Good morning, Miss Stiefel. You haven't had any calls. Do you need me to do anything before your 9 o'clock meeting? Your response? Good morning. The meeting is all set. Say, how's your son doing? Me. Better today, thanks. I think he just had a very bad cold. And you? That's good news. Number 7. Hi, Narciso. How have you been lately? Really? Sorry to hear it. Can I do anything to help? Well, I hope things get better soon. I'll see you. All right. Let's review number 7. Me. Hi, Narciso. How have you been lately? Your response? Actually, I'm having some problems. Me. Really? Sorry to hear it. Can I do anything to help? And your response? No, thanks. But thanks for your offer. Me. Well, I hope things get better soon. I'll see you. And you? Oh, thanks. Yes, I'll see you. In this lesson, we're going to consider requests. In a business or a social situation, when you want to ask someone politely for help or for a favor, when you want to make a request, you can use these 3 patterns. Will you, plus the base verb form and make the question. Or would you, plus the base verb form and the question. Or would you please, base verb form. Or could you, base verb form and the question. The base verb form is run or help or assist, just the basic form. Here are some specific examples. Klaus, will you please print this document? Would you please help me? Could you please turn off the light, Miss Min? Here is another pattern which is also used frequently. Would you mind, plus the ing verb form and the question. For example, would you mind assisting me? Would you mind helping me? Would you mind advising me? Would you mind faxing me? This form is rather formal. And remember, for requests, in American Business English, the question form is the norm. In American business, it's important to note that business English is a language of requests, not commands. We save that for the military branches. These phrases are common. Will you? Would you please? Would you mind? Etc. Of course, when a boss makes a request of an employee, it is best understood and acted upon as a command. A boss might occasionally leave out the please, but if he or she is smart, it won't happen very often. Listen to these. Would you bring me the January expense printout? Martin, bring me the January expense printout. Martin, bring me the January expense printout, would you? In this business file, the following responses are suitable to indicate that you will help the person who asks you to do something. I'll be happy to help turn off the light, etc. I would be glad to, or I'd be glad to. It's no trouble at all. Sure. Of course. I wouldn't mind at all, for would you mind? Now, in this business file are some ways to refuse politely when you cannot help the person who asks you. I'm very sorry, but I can't because... I'd like to, but I can't do that now. I'm in a hurry, but I'd be glad to do it later. Now watch the screen while I speak the first part of the dialogue. Try to think of your response. William is talking to one of his co-workers who is just leaving for lunch. Are you going out for lunch now? Would you please bring me a ham sandwich? Would you mind getting me a Coke too? Now let's look at some possible responses. We'll be positive about this. Are you going out for lunch now? Yes, I am. Would you please bring me a ham sandwich? I'll be glad to. Would you mind getting me a Coke too? I wouldn't mind at all. I'll be back in about 20 minutes. Let's look at another example. And here you will want to try a negative response. Miranda is talking to one of the secretaries in the office. This secretary doesn't usually work for Miranda, but Miranda's secretary is out of the office today. He's sick. Miss Thomas, Robert is out sick today. Would you mind typing these letters for me? I'm really sorry, Miranda, but I can't do it today. I have to finish this work for Mrs. Hanson. I'll be glad to do it tomorrow. Notice, there's always a possibility of refusing, especially when it's not her secretary. Often when we ask favors in English, we use the words borrow and lend. Be careful not to mix them up. For example, if someone has a pen and you don't, you may want to ask to borrow the pen. Remember though, that person lends you the pen. When you want to use something that belongs to another person, you can use the same words, but note these patterns. May I please borrow your pencil? Could I borrow your pencil, please? But would you please lend me your pencil? Could you please lend me your pencil? Will you please lend me your pencil? And then, would you mind lending me your pencil? Notice, if I use the pencil, then I borrow it from you. If you give it to me, then you lend it to me. Now we will practice some useful requests using the expressions we have learned in this lesson. I will read the situations and you make the requests. Let's try it now. Number 1, you don't have a car. You need to borrow one for a few hours to visit a prospective client in another city. You. May I please borrow your car for a few hours? Number 2. You are in a restaurant. Your steak is too rare. You want to ask the waiter to take it back to the kitchen to be cooked more. You. Would you please cook this steak more? Number 3. You broke your arm and it is difficult to go out for lunch. Your coworker is about to leave the office on a lunch break. You want help getting lunch. You. Would you mind picking up some lunch for me? Number 4. You lost your calculator and you want to borrow a friend's to do some budget figures. You. Could I please borrow your calculator? Number 5. You're going to a doctor in a foreign country. You are very nervous. You would like your coworker to go with you. You. Would you mind coming to the doctor with me? I'm very nervous. Now, look at another business file. This file lists different ways of making requests. They range from very direct to very polite. And remember that voice tone is extremely important in making requests. I need some change. I'm all out of change. You don't have $1, do you? Have you got $1 by any chance? Could I borrow $1? You couldn't lend me $1, could you? Do you think you could lend me $10? I wonder if you could lend me $10. Would you mind lending me $20? If you could lend me $5, I'd be very grateful. Could you possibly lend me your laptop for a couple of days? Do you think you could possibly lend me your car tomorrow? I wonder if you could possibly lend me your station wagon. I hope you don't mind my asking, but I wonder if it might be possible for you to lend me your car. Notice those last two, I wonder if, and I hope you don't mind. They are very polite. You may want to practice the material in this file several times so you become very familiar with the request variations in it. Now, here's an interesting role play. Treat me, I will be your partner, as if you don't know me well. Ask me to lend you things. Practice aloud, as always. Here's an example. A quarter. You. Would you mind lending me a quarter? Or, would you mind lending me a quarter for the phone? Or, would you mind lending me a quarter? I need to use the phone. Or, one more, would you mind lending me a quarter? I haven't any change. And my response, sure. Or, sorry, I don't have one. All right, here we go. Look at the prompts on the screen. Remember, as you saw in our business file, there are many possible request forms, so yours may differ from mine. A quarter. Do you have a quarter? $1. You don't happen to have $1. $150. I wonder if you could possibly lend me $150. A pen. Could you lend me a pen? A wristwatch. May I borrow a wristwatch? A laptop. Do you think I could borrow a laptop? A dictionary. I wonder, could you lend me a dictionary? A cellular phone. I wonder, could I borrow a cellular phone? Your department's photocopier. Do you think I could borrow your department's photocopier? A calculator. Do you think you could possibly lend me a calculator? Great. That was a good job. More practice. Now you must ask your coworker to do a few things. You will see the prompt on the screen. Try some variations. Here's an example. Open the window halfway. Would you please open the window halfway? Now, let's go on and do the exercise. Open the window halfway. Would you please open the window halfway? Open it all the way. Would you please open it all the way? Open the door. Could you open the door, please? Close it. Could you close it, please? Move your chair slightly. Would you mind moving your chair slightly? Move it farther away. Would you mind moving it farther away? Explain the word cyborg. I wonder if you would explain the word cyborg. That was a great job. And incidentally, a cyborg, in case you wanted to know, is a combination human being and machine. Here, let's review positive and negative responses to requests. Now, here's a request. Would you please sit in that other chair? And here is a list of negative responses. May I ask why is usually followed by I'd rather not or I can't. And then I'm sorry, I'd rather not. Or I'm sorry, I can't. And more bluntly, no or no, I'm sorry. Here is a list of positive responses. They're very simple. All right. Sure, no problem. Certainly. Of course. All right. You will now hear requests from me, and you must imagine that you don't know me very well. If you think my request is polite enough, agree to it, or you may refuse. But be creative, and you may ask for explanations. Here's an example. Would you please sit in that other chair? You may respond, I'm comfortable here. May I ask why? Or, may I ask why? I'd rather not. Or, I'm sorry, I'm not able to do that. Or, I'm sorry, I'd rather not. But if you wanted to be very positive, you could say, okay, or all right, sure, no problem. Now, let's try this practice. 1. Would you please sit in that other chair? I'm comfortable here. May I ask why? Or, surely. 2. Could you help me move this file cabinet, please? I'm sorry, I'm not able to do that. Or, all right, sure. 3. Would you mind moving your briefcase? Is it a problem? I'd rather not. Or, of course. Number 4. Would you do me a favor and hand me that stapler? I'm sorry, it's out of my reach. Or, yes, certainly, here it is. In this practice, you want people to do various things for you. They are acquaintances, but not friends. Ask them to do things according to each situation. Be creative. Use your imagination. Here's an example. You want a soda, but you have no change. You might say, I'm sorry, could you give me some change for this $1? I'd like to get a soda. Or a shorter version. Pardon me, do you have change for $1? Or, can you give me change for $1? I want to get a soda. Fine. Now you try it. Remember, your responses may differ from mine, and that's okay. You want a soda, but you have no change. I'm sorry. Could you give me some change for this $1? I'd like to get a soda. 2. You want a glass of wine, but you can't get to the bar. Would you please bring me a glass of wine from the bar? 3. You need a postage stamp for a letter, but you haven't brought any money to the post office. Do you think you could possibly lend me some change for a stamp? 4. You want a copy of the New York Times, but you haven't time to leave the office. Would you mind picking up a copy of the New York Times at the newsstand? 5. You are reformatting a large document on the PC, and you need help to finish by the deadline. I wonder if you could help me reformat this document. I'm behind schedule. 6. You want to sit down in your boss's office, but there are books and papers on all the chairs. Could you tell me where you want me to sit? 7. You want a couple of theater tickets, and you know that your supervisor's wife works at the theater. I wonder if you could ask your wife to reserve a couple of tickets for me. 8. You want to read, but someone is blocking your light. Do you think you could move to your left a little? You're blocking my light. And 9. You want your coworker to sit next to you in the cafeteria, but someone else is sitting there. Do you mind moving to the next seat? My friend and I would like to sit together. That's a good job and a tough exercise.